Now I'm very honored to introduce a very special guest for the Longevity Conference, a personal friend of mine, José Luis Cordeiro. He's from Venezuela. He's a multi-talented man. He was what we would consider the true definition of the word futurist. I think Jose embodies that. He's the founder of the World Future Society in Venezuela. He was the head of the Venezuelan node of the Millennium Project, and he was also the director of the Venezuela chapter of the Club of Rome, which is pretty impressive. Jose has published more than 10 books in many languages, including his recent bestseller. It's called La Muerte de la Muerte, and which means the death of death. He's been interviewed by media all over the world, ABC, CNN, BBC. He's been in documentaries, science documentaries on the Discovery Channel, the History Channel, Nat Geo, you name it. He's traveled to over 130 countries. We've crossed paths in at least 3 or 4 countries, Jose. And he hopes one day to travel to the moon and to Mars and further to the stars. Jose describes himself as an engineer, an economist, a futurist, as mentioned, a visionary for sure, a transhumanist, a singularitarian, you know, the singularity, the theory of the singularity, and an immortalist, which is very interesting. When I first met him, he just wouldn't stop talking about life extension and the death of death. He really is involved in this topic, and he really has a lot of knowledge to share about it. He considers himself an individual of the 22nd century, although he was accidentally born in the 19th century. I mean, the 20th century. Just kidding, Jose. Just kidding, Jose. So without further ado, I would like to introduce José Luis Cordeiro. Please pull him up on the screen, Nadir. There he is. Hola, bienvenido.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. It is great to see my friends from Liberland, and especially since you, Thomas, and Vid were in Spain just a few days ago, launching the embassies here in Spain. So I was happy to see you here. And of course, we have met before in the USA and other places in this small world, but we need liberty, we need freedom, we need Liberland, and we need also immortality, which is what I want to talk about. I think life is fascinating as Maya was talking just about. She was explaining also about her own life. And I think this is very important for all of us. So let me share with you my presentation. And I will talk about immortality, and an activity we organize all over the world during the month of October, normally October 1st, which is International Longevity Day. We have chosen about 10 years ago, one day to celebrate longevity, and that is October 1st. So I just organized a big conference in that beautiful theater you can see now, which is the theater of the College of Medical Doctors in Madrid. In that same room, the Spanish Nobel Prize winner, Ramón y Cajal, who got the Nobel Prize for his discoveries about the brain, the neurons, the synapses, he gave his lectures there. A beautiful, beautiful place where we had this conference to celebrate International Longevity Day. We call this Transvision Madrid. All of you are welcome next year on October 1st and forever, because this is the day, October 1st, and we will celebrate this forever and ever as Longevity Day. We had over 20 incredible speakers, both from Spain and internationally. Among the international speakers, we had Aubrey de Grey, who is one of the most public figures about longevity and biological rejuvenation. We also had Brian Johnson, who is probably the #1 biohacker today in the world, the most famous biohacker, who is investing $2 million per year to rejuvenate. And he has a team of 20 doctors with him. So he's putting a lot of money, time, resources, doctors, and his own body as an experiment. We also had Natalie Coles, who is an expert on supercentenarians. Supercentenarians are people who live over 110. Centenarians live over 100, and if you make it to 110, then you are supercentenarian. And she spoke about this because the longest living person in the world who just died before this conference was 117, and she was Spanish. She was going to say a few words in the conference, but unfortunately, she died at age 117 and a half. We also had Alex Ocampo, who is working on biological rejuvenation, and William Falloon, who is the founder of the Life Extension Foundation in the USA. Again, top people from all over the world talking about this for the celebration of Longevity Day, October 1st, that was created by International Longevity Alliance in the year 2013. So we have been celebrating this for over a decade. Also because now is the decade of older people. This is the decade of older people, but I don't like the expression healthy aging. People are talking now about healthy aging. This is in Spanish, but you understand healthy aging, because aging is never healthy. Aging is not healthy. So healthy aging is an oxymoron. Healthy aging is like to say healthy cancer. Cancer is never healthy, or healthy Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is never healthy. So we need to move from this healthy aging into healthy longevity, healthy immortality. So forget about the United Nations Decade of Healthy Aging. Let's move into the United Nations Century of Healthy Longevity, Healthy Immortality. Again, we had the pleasure to have in Madrid Aubrey de Grey, one of the figures most famous about longevity, and Brian Johnson, as I mentioned, the most famous biohacker today, and Natalie Coles, the expert on supercentenarians. And you can see her with the oldest living person in the world until a few weeks ago from Spain. So all these people believe that we can have blue zones. Blue zones are places where people live over 100 years. Right now, there are like 5 official blue zones: Sardinia Island in Italy, Icaria Island in Greece, Okinawa Islands in Japan, Loma Linda community in California, and the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica. In these places, there are people with long lifespans, long life expectancies. But Spain actually, and Madrid particularly, has the longest life expectancy of the European Union with 85.4 years. That is the life expectancy of people born today in Madrid, which is the highest in all of the European Union. In fact, you can look at this map produced by Eurostat. Sadly, Liberland does not appear yet, but you know where Liberland is, somewhere around, Croatia, Serbia, south of Hungary. But in any event, the darkest place is the community of Madrid, which is the province of Madrid or the state of Madrid. You can see with the highest life expectancy of any big region, state in Europe, in all of Europe. So this is very important in Spain. And we have many scientists working now on longevity in Spain. And of course, collaborating with scientists everywhere, like in Japan, because Japan actually has the longest life expectancy in the world, higher than Spain. But of course, Japan is a different culture, a different continent, different reality, but also very longevous people in Japan. But Spain is growing also life expectancy, and it might overtake Japan maybe in the next 20 years. And the USA actually is not doing well, sadly. And China will actually also live longer than in the USA. Anyway, these things can be modified because we are learning a lot about aging. But my goal in Spain, which used to be the country of non plus ultra, that's the Spanish flag. And at the time of the Roman Empire, 2,000 years ago, Spain was the end of the known world to the west. So there were like the two columns of Hercules, connecting Spain in Europe and Africa. And that was the end of the Mediterranean, the internal sea, the Roman Empire, and the end of the known world. So it was the land of non plus ultra, which in Latin means nothing far beyond. There was nothing far beyond Spain. Of course, this changed in 1492 with the discovery of America by Spain, even though, of course, other people had been longer in America, like the Indians of the Americas had been there for thousands of years, but they came from Asia. And then the Vikings apparently went maybe 2-3 centuries before the Spanish to northern North America, but they didn't stay, they didn't remain, they did not last. So it was actually Spain in 1492 that unified the old world and the new world of America. And Spain became the country of plus ultra, far beyond. My goal is to keep up with this tradition, but for longevity. And Spain should become the country of vita plus ultra, life far beyond. That is why we are organizing so many things about longevity in Spain and in Madrid, which has the highest life expectancy in the European Union. We launched a declaration of Madrid for longevity signed by top scientists, and we also premiered this fantastic documentary that you can watch it. I hope you go to the website longevityhackers.tv. longevityhackers.tv, a fantastic documentary of 2 hours about how we are going to cure aging and reverse aging. This is narrated by Oscar-nominated Edward Norton. And there are 50 scientists interviewed from all over the world, including 2 Spanish scientists. One of them was me, calling myself a Spanish and scientist, even though I am an engineer born in Venezuela, but living in Spain. Anyway, so check that documentary when you have some time, longevityhackers.tv. We have a fantastic board of advisors for this documentary and many scientists, as I mentioned. But let's go back to October 1st, because we had a rally, we had a march for longevity in Spain, and we had T-shirts and we had balloons that said, stop aging in Spanish. Stop aging. In Spanish, aging is envejecimiento. Stop envejecimiento. We had a fantastic rally that began in the most famous place all over Spain, all over Madrid, which is where the best soccer team, the best football team in the world, Real Madrid, celebrates. This is the Spanish City Hall, and there is a fountain. And when Real Madrid wins, which is always, they celebrate here in front of the City Hall. So we had our march, our rally at the City Hall of Madrid with T-shirts, Stop Aging, balloons, flags, and banners. We had about 100 people, and now we keep to grow this year after year after year after year. From the City Hall, we went to the government of the province of Madrid, the state government. We went to the Congress of Spain, to the House of Representatives of Spain, talking about longevity, stop aging. And we went to the office of the European Parliament in Spain as well. So we are pushing for this politically, that the #1 problem of humanity is aging. Aging is what is killing us. All of us will die of aging if we don't stop aging. But we live in a world of exponential technologies. things are changing faster, becoming smaller, cheaper, and better. And this is happening exponentially faster, faster, faster. And we don't understand the beauty of exponential change because we think linearly. We think linearly, but technology changes exponentially. If I give 30 linear steps, each step of 1 meter, so after 30 meters, I have walked, 30 steps of 30 meters, 30 meters. But if I work exponentially and I double, after 30 doublings, I have walked over 1 billion meters. I'm going to run planet Earth 26 times. That is the power of exponential change, of exponential technologies. And we don't understand it well because we think linearly, but technology changes exponentially, exponential technologies. Let me give you an example. When I went to university at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, in Cambridge, Massachusetts, USA, I began programming with computers using what is called the IBM punch cards. You can see one example. That is 50, 40 years old, and that had 1K of memory, 1K, because it was 100 by 10. 100 by 10 is 1,000. 1K of memory. And we had to make holes. We stored information, making holes in those punch cards. 1K, but you could not change that memory after you had made holes. So new memories, electromagnetic memories were created, invented. This is one of the first, which was 8 inches big, but also 1K of memory. So 40 years ago, we had 1 mechanical K and 1 electromagnetic K of memory. In Spanish, we say 1K. 1K plus 1K makes 1 caca. 1 caca of memory. We really had very little memory 40 years ago. So we moved from caca into more and more technology. We went into different types of floppy disks, smaller, but with more memory, stronger, and more powerful. And this has continued. And now we have pen drives already of 1 terabyte. So in 40 years, since I went to university, we have moved from caca to terabytes. And this is continuing to happen exponentially. This has not stopped. This will continue exponentially, but not just with computers, with all technologies that can be digitized. And now biology can be digitized. Medicine can be digitized after the sequence of the human genome. The human genome was first sequenced, digitized in 2003. It took 13 years from 1990, when the Human Genome Project began, until 2003. 13 years and over $1 billion, just the US government. So 13 years, over $1 billion. Today, you can sequence your complete genome for about $200 in a couple of days. But the goal is to sequence the genome for $10 in 1 hour. And this should happen maybe in 5 years, because this is still moving exponentially. In fact, this is exponentially faster than caca. If you remember caca, caca was slow compared to what is happening in biology and medicine. And it is exponentially, not once, but twice. It is exponentially going down in cost, in price, and it is exponentially going down in time, from years to hours, from billions of dollars to single-digit dollars. This is incredible. And this is why medicine will change, because we have the power to sequence the genome and understand biology. And life expectancy is increasing, as we know. At the time of the Roman Empire, life expectancy was 25 in Rome, in the capital. And in Spain, it was only 20 years of age 2,000 years ago, 20 years life expectancy. And basically, we were working and sleeping. That was what we did, work and sleep. There was almost no education and there was not much leisure time. But this has been improving. By the year 1900, we were living over 40 years in many countries. And in Rome, it was like about 50 years. So it doubled from 25 to 50 years. In the year 2000, we went to 75 years. So we trebled. We went from 25 to 50 to 75. And now we are going to reach 100 years. But what is interesting is that what is growing the most is the red part, which is education. We are learning, we are discovering, we're inventing, we are creating. That is why humanity has advanced so much. Because one, we are more people, therefore more brains, more ideas, but also we have more time for education, for discovery, for learning. So this is so important, and that is why the world is advancing, because we have more and more education. Once you sequence your genome, you will discover many things about you. Let me show you the partial sequence of my genome, not the full sequence, so that you don't know everything, but at least partially, you know something about me. Many companies sequence the genome completely or partially. One of the companies is 23andMe, and you can see my genome and the diseases I will have. What is the probability that I will have prostate cancer, for example? All of this you will know once you sequence your genome. And I am sure all of you will sequence your genome in the next 5 years because it's becoming cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And there is so much information about our genome so that we avoid diseases. If we are going to have a disease, we can prepare for it and to stop it, to reverse that possible disease. Also, once you sequence your genome, you can track your family line, your ancestors. And this is my paternal line a few centuries back. You can see from my father's side, from Spain, from France, but all the way to Asia, Central Asia, Mongolia. And you can see below to the right, famous people connected to my father, Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan, so no one mess around with me because on my father's line, I come from Genghis Khan. Now, let me show you my maternal line, also from Spain, France, Sweden, and famous people, look below at the right, famous people, Marie Antoinette. So I have a good pedigree between Genghis Khan and Maria Antoinette. All of you will know your family lines once you sequence your genome, and you will be able to verify for the first time if your father is really your father. You know who your mother is for sure, but now you will be able to check if your father is also your father because you can check genetically. And this is interesting looking into the past, but it is more interesting looking into the future, And we are going to design our children. We will select the genes we want for our children. And this is an example I did with one of my students at Singularity University in California when I was teaching there 15 years ago. And you can see we shared genes. This is a theoretical experiment, theory, to see how our children would be and to choose the genes you want, the different characteristics you want. This will be a standard in the future. This will be a standard in 10 years. We will choose the biological characteristics for our children and even be able to modify some of them, including for us, because we were the last human generation that has not been designed. We have not been designed. We are all here by accident. We are here by mistake, by error. But in the future, we will design our children and we will redesign ourselves because we are only data. Our biological data is 3 gigabytes, 3 gigabytes. But remember, today we have pen drives of 1 terabyte, as the one I showed, 1 terabyte. 1 terabyte is 1,000 gigabytes, 1,000 gigabytes. So in a pen drive of 1 terabyte, I can fit 333 humans of 3 gigabytes. And there is a little space left for a cat. So in a pen drive of 1 terabyte, 333 humans and a little cat. We are data, we are moving data. And now there is a new discipline called synthetic biology, which moves from reading to writing. From reading genomes, now we know how to read, and we are learning how to write genomes. So in the year 2000, the first artificial genome was written for a virus. But viruses are small. In the year 2010, the genome of a bacteria was written, an artificial bacteria. Bacteria are bigger than viruses, but still small. So when we will be able to write and rewrite and change human genomes? Well, this might be around 2045 if this exponential trend continues, as we believe it will continue, because we are only 3 gigabytes of data, which is much bigger than a bacteria, which is bigger than a virus, but we are learning how to write genomes, to write, to modify, to rewrite. And now, after we finish COVID, you can see what was the risk factor number 1. The highest risk factor to die during COVID was your age. So age was the problem with COVID. It was not so much COVID, the problem, but your age. The older you were, the highest probability of you dying. Horrible, horrible. So age was the problem more than COVID. If we look historically, the biggest pandemic in human history was the Black Death, the bubonic plague. That killed 1 out of every 3 Europeans. 1 out of every 3 Europeans died of the Black Death. That was really a big, big pandemic. Or smallpox, or even the Spanish flu, which was not Spanish and it was not the flu, but it killed estimated 50 million people when the population of the planet was much, much smaller than today, over a century ago. Or AIDS, HIV, AIDS. These are big pandemics killing millions of people. So COVID was a small pandemic in historic terms, a small pandemic, what I call a caca pandemic. Caca pandemic because in historic terms, it was small. However, it paralyzed the planet. For the first time in human history, a virus paralyzed the planet. And for a caca pandemic. But now we have to do the same for the biggest pandemic of all, which is worse than the Black Death. It is aging. Aging is the biggest pandemic. And all of us have this pandemic. All of us are aging. So if COVID paralyzed the planet and it's a small pandemic, a caca pandemic, that basically affected older people, as we saw, risk factor number 1, now we do have to stop aging because it's killing everybody. Everybody's dying of aging. And if you look, all diseases, all chronic diseases, the number 1 risk factor is your age. Age. For influenza, for cancer, for Alzheimer's, for cardiovascular disease, basically for any chronic condition, the number 1 risk factor is your age. So age is the problem. It is not cancer. It is not Alzheimer's. No, the problem is your age. If you are 80, you will probably get Alzheimer's and cancer. If you are 20, you will probably not get Alzheimer's or cancer. So risk factor, aging. Also, we are discovering that all diseases are related. And we need to move from the old system of sick care into a real system of health care. where health is at the center and aging is at the center, because all chronic diseases are related to aging. Aging is the problem. Aging is the mother of all chronic diseases. So we don't have to cure cancer separately, or Alzheimer's separately, or heart disease separately, or diabetes separately. No, what we have to cure is aging. If we cure aging, we cure all those chronic diseases. So aging is the problem. We have also discovered that life expectancy is flexible, flexible within the species and flexible among different species. For example, with mammals, we are mammals, and mammals share 90% of the human genome. And we have a small mice, a small shrew that live like 2 years. That is the life expectancy of some of these small mammals. And we have big mammals like whales that live over 200 years. So mammals, which are 90% genetically the same at least, we go between 2 years and 200 years. Why? We are learning that now because we have sequenced the human genome, which is the book of life, and we are discovering the differences in the genome of the mice, the genome of the whales, the genome of the human. Also, there are other animals, which are not mammals, that live less or more. We have mosquitoes that live 3 months or even 1 week. We have some mosquitoes that live just 1 week. And we have clams that live over 500 years, or sharks. The Greenland shark lives over 500 years. So there is a lot of flexibility in lifespan, and today we are learning why. We are learning the biological basis of lifespan. So we are going to learn how to live longer, healthier. That is why 5 years ago, another scientist from Cambridge, United Kingdom, and me, who studied at Cambridge, Massachusetts, we decided to write a book about the #1 problem in humanity, which is aging and death. Aging and death is killing all of us. In fact, in advanced economies, 90% of the people die of age-related diseases. In Europe, 90% of the people die of aging, 90% of people. Of course, some people die of other things, but all those other things combined, it's only 10%. If you include accidents, if you include climate change, if you include homicides, you include suicides, you include malaria, you include AIDS, you include all those things, they add up only to 10%, while 90% die of age-related diseases in Europe. So the enemy is aging. This is what is killing all of us. 90% of Europeans die of aging. This is the big enemy of humanity, The enemy is not climate change. The enemy is not the Russians. The enemy is not the Chinese. The enemy is not the Martians. And the Martians probably don't even exist. But those are not the enemies. The enemy and of all humanity is aging. Aging is what kills most of humanity. So we published this book, The Death of Death. It immediately became a bestseller in Spanish, in my mother tongue, twice bestseller, #1 in paper and #5 in Kindle, in electronic format. We are donating the royalties of the book in Spanish to one foundation in Spain and another in the USA, the SENS Research Foundation, in order to advance research on rejuvenation technologies. Now the book is in many more editions. It just came out, for example, in Japanese. I'm very proud. This is the Japanese edition. And now it's coming in Persian, in Farsi, in 15 languages, including, of course, the 3 top languages in the world, English, Spanish, Chinese. So you need to read The Death of Death, because those who read The Death of Death will not die. Guaranteed. If you read The Death of Death, you will not die, or your money back. So anyway, read The Death of Death, because you will learn what will happen in the next 20 years. the population of China began declining. Now it's declining, and China will go from #1 now to #2. India just overtook China this year, and it's continuing to decline. And Nigeria is catching up, Nigeria in Africa. So a world population is in general declining, but faster in some places like China or Japan or Spain. Also, the population begins to decline. I was with the president of Argentina, Javier Milei, who is a big supporter of Liberland, of course. He is also an immortalist, libertarian, who cloned his dog and who loves my book. He has said that The Death of Death is his favorite book, the favorite book of the president Javier Milei. He said it publicly. It appeared in La Nación, which is the main newspaper in Argentina. He said that his favorite book is La Muerte de la Muerte. So I'm proud that my friend Javier Milei loves my book. So now we consider aging as a disease, but a curable disease that we are going to cure in the next 20 years. How? Well, in the last 2 decades, we have been able to double the life expectancy of mice. Mice that live normally between 2.5 years. We have mice that live 5 years today, 5 years. So we have doubled the life expectancy of mice. We have multiplied by 4 the life expectancy of mosquitoes. And we have multiplied by 10 the life expectancy of some worms. So we have now the Methuselah worms because they live the equivalent of 1,000 human years, the equivalent. But scientists don't do these worms that live 1,000 years equivalent because they like worms, or that they like mosquitoes that live 400 years equivalent, or mice that live 200 years equivalent. No. They do this to learn about longevity and immortality. In fact, today we know that there are immortal cells, and this was discovered with cancer. Today we know, actually, since 1951, when Henrietta Lacks died, she was a woman who died of cervical cancer. In 1951, her cancer cells are still alive today. They are alive. Even though she was born in 1920, and today is the year 2024, so she would be 104 years old. Well, she died of cancer, but her cancer cells, the tumor, is alive, and it keeps on growing and reproducing. So we know that cancer discovered immortality. Cancer cells do not age. Cancer cells are called biologically immortal. This is the scientific term. They are called biologically immortal because they do not age. They do not age. That does not mean that they cannot die, because if you kill the cancer cells, they die, even though they don't age. They are biologically immortal because they don't age. So we know that there are immortal cells. Cancer cells discovered immortality, and cancer did not go to university. Cancer didn't go to MIT or to Cambridge, but they discovered immortality. That is why I am so excited. We are very close to cure cancer. Now that we can sequence the human genome, we are going to discover the mutations that create cancer. We are 5 to 10 years away from curing most cancers, thanks to the advances in biotechnology. But not only cancer cells are immortal, also the best cells in our body, the germ cells for reproduction. Germ cells in all animals are biologically immortal. This means that they do not age. They do not age. Of course, they die, because when the body dies, when the somatic cells, somatic cells die, the germ cells inside, they also die, even if they don't age. So today we know immortality already exists, and there are immortal cells, the best ones, the reproductive cells, the germ cells that do not age, and cancer cells that discovered how to stop aging. So immortality already exists. The best one for reproduction, but also the bad one, cancer cells that discover how not to age. So that is why I'm so excited. We are so close to discovering what cancer discovered. Additionally, on top of that, there are small organisms that do not age, that are biologically immortal, like hydras, and some jellyfish. Jellyfish also are biologically immortal. They do not age. So immortality already exists. We just need to discover how biology did it so we can do it better. We can do it better. And bacteria, the first bacteria in the planet that had round chromosomes, they also do not age. Of course, they would die if they are killed or if they got sick, but they do not age. So the first life forms in the planet were biologically immortal, meaning that they did not age. Age was not part of life until much later on. Anyway, the scientist Aubrey de Grey, my friend who wrote the prologue of my book, Aubrey de Grey, he talked about this for 20 years, and he was called a charlatan. He was called a crazy person by my university, by MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology magazine, Technology Review, called him a charlatan in 2005. But look how fast they changed minds. In 2019, the same publication, MIT Technology Review, declared that old age is over if you want it, and of course, we want it because now we know it is possible. And we are very close to stop and reverse aging. What seemed impossible just about 20 years ago, we know is possible today. And this is what the German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer said about truth. Truth goes past 3 stages. First stage, it is ridicule. Second stage, it is violently opposed. And third stage, it is accepted as self-evident. Well, we believe that in 2045, aging will be reversed. There will be no aging if you don't want to age. Of course, you are always free to age. You are always free to die if you want to die. But I think most people will not want to age and will not want to die. So in 2045, we will remember today when we were so primitive today that we let people die, that we still have aging today, which will be cured in 20 years. This is what my friend Ray Kurzweil, co-founder of Singularity University and director of engineering at Google, and an engineer from MIT like myself, he talks in his book, Fantastic Voyage, that has a beautiful subtitle. The subtitle is Live Long Enough to Live Forever. Live long enough to live forever. And that is going to be soon. In a few years, we will reach longevity escape velocity. Longevity escape velocity means that we will gain 1 year per year we survive. If we live 1 year, we get 1 year more and 1 year more. And so we keep on living indefinitely. That is longevity escape velocity. That should be probably in 2030, very, very close. So he talks about 3 bridges to immortality. 1 bridge that takes us to another bridge that takes to another bridge. The first bridge in the 2010s is do what your mother told you. What your mother told you. Eat well, sleep well, do some exercise, don't drink too much, don't smoke, etc., etc., etc. That is bridge 1. Do what your mother told you in the 2010s. But now we're in the 2020s. In the 2020s, we have the first biotechnology therapies. We have new biotechnology therapies starting. A few things I can mention are metformin, senolytics, rapamycin in a couple of years. We are discovering some drugs that will make us gain some time, to make some extra years, to reach longevity escape velocity. But then this biotechnology is going to move into something smaller and better, which is nanotechnology. In the 2030s, we are moving into nanotechnologies. We are going down from the cell level into the atomic level. We will be able to repair cells at the molecular level, at the atomic level, with nanotechnology in the 2030s. With nanotechnology, we will have nanorobots, nanobots, nanorobots inside our body, cleaning our body, eliminating the plaque from the brain so that we don't get Alzheimer's, eliminating also the cholesterol from the heart so that we don't get a cardiac attack, et cetera, et cetera. So these nanobots will help us to reach immortality at the latest by 2045. Ray Kurzweil talked about all of this 20 years ago in his previous book, The Singularity is Near. And he ratified this just now in the new book called The Singularity is Nearer. This is a new book that just came out a few months ago, explaining what will happen from now until the year 2045. Actually, I quote him on my bestseller. I have a timeline until the year 2045 and then 2099, until the end of this century, 2099, in this book at the end. So you will see what will happen in humanity until 2099. Again, there is a technological convergence towards this singularity between four major technologies: nanotechnology that studies atoms, biotechnology that studies cells, infotechnology that studies bits, and cognotechnology that studies neurons. The two technologies on top, hardware, nano and bio, are the hardware. And the two technologies on the bottom, info and cogno, are the software of life. And between 2029 and 2045, we will reach immortality. Not once, but twice immortal. We will be hardware immortal, biologically immortal, and we will be software immortal, computationally immortal. So we will have immortality not once, but twice, biologically and computational immortality by 2045. This is so incredible that most companies are moving into biotech. Technology companies, information technology companies like Google are moving into biotech. And Google created a subsidiary called Calico, California Life Company, with the goal to solve death. Death is a technical problem, and death will have a technical solution. But not just Google, also Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, and his wife, Priscilla Chan, who is a medical doctor who studied biology at Harvard. They are donating all their fortune to cure all diseases in this generation, including aging. Fantastic what is happening. And also Microsoft is talking about solving cancer now that we have sequenced the human genome and we can understand the mutation. Or Apple now is moving also into health. Apple will have many devices in health and it will be remembered what they will do in health. Forget about the iPhone, forget about the Macintosh. What Apple will do now is to cure aging, to understand health. And of course, Jeff Bezos, one of the two richest person in the world, together with Elon Musk. Jeff Bezos created a company with other billionaires called Altos Labs, because it is in Los Altos, California, Silicon Valley, with the goal to cure aging. They put $3 billion to begin this research. Incredible. This will be the biggest industry in the world. The anti-aging, the health, the longevity industry will be the biggest. It will be trillions and trillions of dollars. And that is why all the technology companies, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and more, are moving into longevity, because this will be the biggest market in human history, trillions and trillions of dollars. It began with millions 20 years ago. Right now, it is in the order of billions, and it will move into trillions. This is the growing ecosystem of longevity. Also, the Nobel Prize in Medicine in the year 2012 was given to a Japanese scientist that discovered that aging can be reversed, that aging is flexible. Shinya Yamanaka got the Nobel Prize in 2012 for rejuvenating a cell. I had the pleasure to be here a couple of times, including here in Madrid. We invited him to come to Madrid 2 years ago to celebrate his Nobel Prize from 2012 and to talk about immortality, because he believes we are going to rejuvenate not only cells, he rejuvenated cells, but another scientist, another friend from Harvard who did his postdoc at MIT, David Sinclair, he has been able to rejuvenate organs. We have moved from rejuvenating cells to rejuvenating organs. He rejuvenated eyes of mice, the eyes of mice that were blind at age 80, equivalent human age of 80, they were rejuvenated to age 20, from age 80 of the blind eyes into age 20 of good eyes. The same mice that were blind could see again, thanks to biological rejuvenation. So we know how to rejuvenate cells. We now know how to rejuvenate organs. And this is only growing and growing and growing. So in the future, I plan to be younger than today, but not through a Russian app like Face App. No. I plan to be younger because biological rejuvenation is possible. We know that this is possible and that immortality is a reality. There is immortality today in the planet. There are immortal cells like germ cells and cancer cells. There are immortal animals like hydras and medusas. And soon there will be immortal humans for those who don't want to die. Of course, you are free to die always. Last November, I was with Peter Diamandis, my friend Peter Diamandis, in Saudi Arabia for the launching of the biggest prize in human history, partially paid by Evolution Foundation in Saudi Arabia. They put about $50 million for this $101 million to show biological rejuvenation. This is incredible. The X Prize Healthspan Prize from the X Prize Foundation with money from Evolution and some others to show biological rejuvenation of over 10 years by 2030. In 2030, there are hundreds of teams from all over the planet competing to win the biggest prize in human history, $101 million to show biological rejuvenation in 2030. Okay? It might not happen in 2030, but this is happening. It will be 2031 or 32 or 33, but this is accelerating. We know that aging is flexible and that aging can be reversed at the cell level and at the organ level, and now we are working at the whole body level, at the whole organism level. So we are very close to rejuvenate animals. I also presented this in Dubai. Actually, I am flying tomorrow to Dubai again to talk about the death of death. My book is now in Arabic. I presented it already, and this was very controversial at the Dubai Future Forum. But people are excited. People are excited in all parts of the world that this is really possible. And so we have to meditate, because this is the biggest dream, the first dream of humanity, immortality. But we need to meditate. I love meditation, many types of meditation, because this is complex. And there is a lot of yin and yang. As you know, yin and yang, and this is so complex because yin yang inside has little yin yang, which has little yin yang. So there is always the dark side of the force. Not only the good sides, but the dark side of the force. So we need to be prepared for any problems that might come with immortality. But talking about the dark side, this is the world at night. This is the famous picture by NASA about the world at night. And the Chinese have a beautiful phrase. The Chinese say, light up the world. Don't blame darkness. It is better to light up a candle, to light up a candle. So I am not here to blame darkness. I am here to illuminate the world, to light up a candle, because there are two possibilities, the two Koreas. The Korea of the South with the best internet in Asia, the best internet you can see also Seoul, Korea, totally illuminated, incredible. Well, if you look north to North Korea has almost no light, very dark place, and in fact is the last country in the world without public internet. No public internet in North Korea. Last place in the planet without public internet. So where do we want to go? To the Korea of the future, to the free Korea, or to the Korea of the past in the north, to the communist Korea. So we need to move with technology and liberty. Technology and liberty, to Liberland, to immortality. And I finish with this Chinese word, which is beautiful. That means crisis. I lived 3 years in Japan, and so I learned Chinese characters. And first I would write it upside down. Now I know how to write it. And this Chinese character means crisis. Crisis has two parts. The first part is danger. But the second part is opportunity. We live in the most incredible time in human history. We are between the last mortal generation and the first immortal generation. This is the time to be alive. We need technology and we need freedom. We need Liberland. So let me welcome you again every October 1st to Madrid, to the most beautiful theater of all of Spain. October 1st, forever and ever, International Longevity Day in Madrid. And thank you so much for your patience. And it has been a pleasure to be here and to share with you these ideas. And I am happy to answer any questions if you have. So,
who has some questions for Jose? Vit has a question for Jose.
I'm just wondering, really, from the practical perspective, and thank you very much for the presentation. It was amazing. And I really hope I will be able to also join you guys in October next year. If you had to give us, let's say, top 3 recommendation in terms of healthy life, and then top 3 recommendation in terms of, let's say, medicine for longevity right now, out of your head, what would those top 3 things from each of these disciplines would be? Top 3 things from how to really, what are the most important things when it comes to normal life, which we should focus, and top 3 things which you think from the biohacking sphere, which are now achievable, which you can buy. I mean, there is a lot of talk about some new pills that they prolong life. We actually ordered them, ripamycin, and we want to test them. But do you have any other, or what do you think, for example, about these particular drugs? Thank you.
Yes, and great question, because we need to move from theory into practice. Well, the number 1 recommendation overall is to read The Death of Death, because remember, those who read The Death of Death will not die, guaranteed, or your money back. So number 1, read The Death of Death. But more seriously, I like the 3 bridges of Ray Kurzweil, the 3 bridges. Bridge number 1, do what your mother told you, which is fundamental. You have to eat well, because we are what we eat. If we eat garbage, we die. If we eat poison, we die. So we need to eat well. Nutrition is fundamental. Also, sleep and exercise. These are fundamental. Our body needs sleep. The brain and the whole body regenerate during sleep. So it is fundamental to have 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Truly, truly fundamental. And then exercise. We need mobility. We are supposed to be moving. We evolved in Africa, moving. So these things, which are also very, very cheap, to sleep, to do exercise, and to eat well. By the way, talking about eating, I also recommend having autophagy. Auto, yourself, phagy, eating. Autophagy is when your cell eats other cells in your body. And this is very good because the strong cells eat the weak cells in your body, including cancer cells. And this happens when you stop eating for about 2 to 3 days. When you don't eat for 2 to 3 days, the body is hungry and eats itself. The strong cells eat the old and weak cells. So I recommend not eating for 2 to 3 days every 3 months. I do this myself. Every 3 months, if you don't eat, then your body is forced to eat itself. And that is fantastic. It even goes and kills cancer cells. So I recommend autophagy every 3 months. And it's free, actually. That is free. It's very good. So the second part of the question, which other therapies or pills? Well, indeed, there are many supplements now that you can take, and they are becoming more and more studied. I take several supplements. I take things like metformin. Metformin was used for diabetic people, but it has been shown to extend lifespan of everybody, even non-diabetic people, by 1 year. And for against diabetics, almost 3 years. So we need to gain time, more time, more time, more time. There are also some senolytics, which are going to kill all cells in the body. That will be approved probably in 2 years, and also rapamycin. I plan to take rapamycin and senolytics once they are officially approved in a couple of years. So just wait, hang on in there a few more years for more supplements and therapies that are coming online very soon. But again, bridge one, do what your mother told you. Eat well, sleep well, exercise, don't drink too much, don't smoke, etc. We need to do those things. They are basic. Without bridge one, we cannot move into bridge two, and we cannot move into bridge three. So anyway, those will be the recommendations. Besides, of course, reading The Death of Death.
Great. Thank you, Vit. Thank you, Jose. Do we have any more? Navid has a question. Come on up. Come on up. Yeah, sure. Yeah, face the camera.
Hi, Jose. This was fascinating. Thank you so much. Actually, we met in July in Vegas, so good to see you again, briefly. And actually, I bought your book while I was listening to you, so I will be on my way towards Immortality and join you there. But I have a more, and actually, I'm happy with Vit's questions because I've been water fasting also every 3 months. I do a 3-day to 7-day water fast, which I just came out of yesterday, out of one. So thank you for reconfirming that. But I have a question that really I can't help to ask. I mean, while I agree with all this quest for immortality, or actually to live as a whole for as long as you are granted, I can't help to wonder, what is your relationship to mortality? Are you afraid of dying? I mean, and that's not a question like in general. I'm very curious.
Yes. Well, first of all, great to see you virtually after indeed meeting at Freedom Fest, where Vit also made a fantastic presentation about Liberland. So I think it's good that people are understanding that life is good, that life can be longer and healthier. So what is my relationship to death? Well, death is my enemy. I am not afraid of death. I just hate it. I hate death. I don't want to die. So my goal in life, my objective is to kill death before death kills me. That is my goal in life, to kill death. Death is my enemy. It's the enemy of humanity. Death is killing all of us. So I am not afraid. Actually, I am very bold against death. And death, beware, because we are going to kill you. Death, we are going to eliminate you, and we are going to have longevity. We are going to have health. We are going to be living longer and longer without death. So my relationship is my enemy. Like communists. Communists are also my enemies.
Thanks very much. We have another question from Nada, please.
Hello. Thank you for your wonderful speech. Over the last few years, we've had much talk about nanobots and nanoparticles in vaccines, in chemtrails, in the food, but you're suggesting that it's a good thing. We've heard that it's turning us into transhumans. So that's my first question. And the second question is that could it be that because we are leaving the Kali Yuga, the Dark Age, and entering into Sat Yuga, which is the Golden Age, where the characters in the Bible were living 700, 800, 900 years, are we going back to that age, to the age of the Golden Age of Truth? Thank you.
Yeah, a beautiful question. And indeed, in the Bible and in some other religious texts, not only from Western tradition, but also in some of the Vedas in India, there were individuals that lived hundreds of years. I don't know if this is true, but I know it will be true soon. Soon we will be able to live for hundreds of years. If it was true before, fantastic. But even if it was not true, we will make that dream a reality. So I'm very excited about living longer. And this is optional. Again, this is optional. Those who want to age and those who want to die, they are free to age and die. But I don't think intelligent people will like to age because aging is not good, or will like to die because death is probably not good either for you. So you had another question, and my limited brain, my caca brain, forget the other part of your question.
Yes, I would like to know the truth about nanoparticles, because you are suggesting that they're going to be good for the body, which I appreciate. But we've also been told that they're going to take over our soul and turn us into transhumans. Could you expound on that, please?
Yes. And thank you for reminding my little caca brain of the second question. Well, first about nanoparticles and nanobots. Well, everything can be used for good or for bad. In fact, now there is so much talk about plastic nanoparticles, which are bad for your health. In fact, they stay in your body if you drink continuously from these plastic bottles. So that is bad. On the other hand, there will be good nanoparticles. So not just bad nanoparticles, but good nanoparticles. It's like nuclear energy. Nuclear energy can be good or can be bad. You can do electricity production, or you can do nuclear bombs, which is not good, or fire. Fire can be good or fire can be bad. So all technologies can be used for better or for worse. So when I'm talking about these nanobots in our body, they will be good. They will be for cleaning our bodies. Even taking the plastic nanoparticles in our bodies, that can be done with good nanobots. Okay, so again, technology, we can make it useful or we can make it dangerous. But the other thing about transhumanism and these ideas, well, evolution continues. We know today that we really evolved from other monkeys. We are 99% equal to the chimpanzee, and that's not by chance. And 98% equal to other monkeys, even gorillas. So we evolve from other monkeys, and evolution continues. We are still evolving. We are changing, and this will continue. But biologically, it takes millions of years. Millions of years. We divided from other monkeys about 8 million years ago. It is estimated. Chimpanzees and humans, we separated 8 million years ago. And we, in our current form and shape, we are about 200,000 years only. 200,000 years only, and in Africa, because we evolved mostly in Africa. So also we are changing, we are evolving. When we left Africa, we also changed sometimes the hair or the color of the skin, the color of the eyes. These things evolved when we kept on moving throughout the planet, where there is less sunshine, where there is also different food. For example, some people cannot eat milk, drink milk. Some other people love milk. This is an evolved characteristic, an evolved trait. So people in Switzerland, they all drink milk. People in Japan, they normally don't drink milk because there was no milk in Japan from cow milk, like in Switzerland. So these things evolved, and we are still evolving. So we will continue evolving. I don't want to call this transhumanism. This is evolution. But now it's not just biological evolution. Now it's also technological evolution. Like I said, we will design our children and we will redesign ourselves for better, for curing aging. Aging is the big enemy. We can evolve ourselves out of aging. We can leave aging behind, like germ cells do not age, or like hydras and jellyfish that don't age. So this is evolution. We will continue to evolve, but now with technology as well. And I love technology because technology is what makes us different from animals. What has made humans get to this level is technology. And the more technology, the more human we are, and the more humane we are. So I think technology is the best ally, is our best friend, technology, to cure diseases, to cure aging, to be richer, to go into space. We need technology to go to the moon and to Mars, etc. So anyway, I'm a bit biased because I am an engineer from MIT, but I hope you enjoy reading The Death of Death so that you don't die.
Jose, you've attracted so much interest here at the conference. We've got actually some more questions for you. Our very own Nadia Price has a question.
Hello, Jose. Do you have any children? Fascinating presentation, by the way.
Well, I have many mind children. By that, I mean students. I have been teaching for a long time. In fact, I would like to say that I am one of the professors of Javier Milei. So I consider him, in a way, one of my children. Another one, the Venezuelan presidential candidate as well, Leopoldo Lopez. He was also my student. So I have many mind children. And of those, I have many, many, many. Biological children, I don't have any known biological children. But this is a very good question because I plan to be my own child. I am reinventing myself to be my own child myself.
Okay. Well, the reason I ask you is because, as you just explained to us, that around 8 million years, we separated from the monkeys, right? So we are, like, every single one of us, like you right now, you are the result of millions and millions of successfully lived lives. And even though your idea, well, this, like living forever is pretty amazing, killing death is quite amazing. But at the same time, it makes me wonder, but what about the population? Do we kill death and do we reproduce biologically, or is this like the end of it? Like we just live forever, like how does that really, what would that even impact like the economy, the world in general?
Yeah, well, those are good answers, and we don't know. Those are good questions, and we don't have answers, but we will discover. Anyway, this is optional. If you think there are too many people, give an example and die. If you really think so, we live in a free world, so I think actually there is nothing better than life. There is nothing better than humans, because not only do we come with a mouth to eat, and with a behind to excrete, we come with a brain. The brain is the most complex structure in the known universe. So we need more brains, even if the brain comes with a mouth and an ass, but the brain is the important part. So we need more brains, we need more humans to actually go into other planets. And also, as I showed, the population of the planet is stabilizing and it is beginning to decline. The population of China is going to drop by half. As I showed, the forecast now is the population of China will go down to 700 million. That is losing twice the population of the European Union, disappearing in China. Or Japan also is going down, or Korea. So many countries are already stabilized and going down demographically. But again, this is optional. This is optional. I think people will enjoy living longer, living healthier, and reinventing themselves. You will be able to reinvent yourself. You will be your own children, your own child, and more children. It can be you yourself.
I agree. That sounds fantastic. I was just kind of wondering, this is the last question, would you consider yourself the legacy of your ancestors, and would you ever would like to leave a legacy behind, like biologically, even if you live forever, like
Of course, I am the legacy not only of my human ancestors, of my monkey ancestors and my bacterial ancestors, because we all come from very simple life forms that evolved something like bacteria. So yes, I come from bacteria and I come from Africa, and this is how we humans come. And this will continue, but my legacy, again, will not just be biological. As I mentioned, I think we are moving into the technological area, the technological realm. We will be able to upload our minds into cyberspace. These are some of the possibilities of the future. So yeah, I will have probably not only my own biological presence, but a computational presence. Remember, I talked about being immortal twice, biologically and computationally.
awesome. Thank you.
We have time for two brief questions. I'm going to bring on Daya, and then also Daniel online has a question. So Daya.
Thanks. Just a quick one. Well, you said about aging. If we didn't age, we would stay babies forever. So at what age do we stop aging?
Yes, good question. Well, the goal is to be at a biological age between 20 and 30. Biologically for the body, because that is the best shape of the human body, as studies have shown over and over again. When you are even 10 years old, you are too young. You don't have your full physical capabilities. So that is not the good age to stop aging. So again, the answer is most scientists think we can reverse aging and fix it or stay in the realm of 20 to 30 years of age. That is the goal for the body. For the mind, of course, it will continue learning, improving, and growing. And soon again, we will be able to connect our minds also with other minds. We will have telepathy. So we will also grow our minds in knowledge, in experience, in communication capabilities. But that is separate from the body. The answer to you, between 20 and 30, but this will be optional. This is not forced. If you want to be 40 or if you want to be 60, you can do that. If you want to die, you can die, no problem. That is, in any case, your problem. I certainly don't want to be 60. I don't want to be 40. I want to be 20. This is my goal. Some people might want to be 10. And this will be technologically possible. If some people want to be 10, then they can be 10. This is up to you. You are free to choose. You are in Liberland.
Very good. Thank you. So we already have an example of telepathy. Daniel in the audience has a question, and he is telling me he didn't hear much about AI during the presentation. How will AI affect longevity, and what is your perspective on that, Jose? Thank you for the telepathic question, Daniel.
Yes, fantastic, Daniel. This is very important because AI is like the most revolutionary technology, and AI will be everywhere. AI is like electricity. It will be everywhere. And we will need AI for everything. So I am very much in favor of AI, which will also help us to solve the aging problem. We have not solved the aging problem because it is complicated, and also because we have limited intelligence. We need more intelligence. We need artificial intelligence. So with all our knowledge today, human intelligence and artificial intelligence, we will solve the aging problem, and we will become more intelligent, and we will become immortal. So I love AI. Actually, I am not afraid of artificial intelligence like some people are. I think artificial intelligence is the greatest discovery together with immortality. I want to be with intelligent people. I hope you too. You don't want to be with stupid people. You want to be with intelligent people. You want to be more intelligent. So intelligence is the goal, like longevity is the goal. So I repeat, I am not afraid of artificial intelligence, the greatest discovery. I am afraid of human stupidity, and that is a real issue because many humans are stupid and many humans stay stupid all their lives, very stupid humans. So if we can become more intelligent, naturally and artificially, let's move ahead. If we become more intelligent, we will see that communism doesn't work, that what works is freedom and technology.
Excellent. So we have to keep the presentation rolling. Thank you so much, Jose Luis. I think your presentation was one of the best presentations I've seen in a very, very long time. So I have a few comments myself on your presentation. The stuff about genetics was amazing, and you shared your 23andMe results with us. I actually took a DNA test, and I also found that my father was not the person I thought it was. I have a different father than I was told all along, and that was revealed to me through DNA testing. And you can do you could find out a lot of amazing things about your own family tree, about your own ancestors by engaging in these kinds of studies. And that's one very, very interesting aspect of what we talked about today. Jose, I'm just so overjoyed that we could welcome you to the Longevity Conference here. We tried to get you last year, but you were traveling, but we got you this year, and it's all being recorded, and we'll have it for future posterity. And thank you so much, Jose. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Live long and prosper. Liberty.
Thank you so much. Great.